Hi, my name is Jennifer Paul,
And my name is Thomas Paul.
and we are the proud parents of two boys, Andrew and Justin. Andrew will be 6 in September, and Justin just turned 3 this past month. And Justin actually was diagnosed with long QT syndrome about 6 hours after he was born. And he was born via C-section and kind of taken from our arms right away. And you can probably describe the situation. You were there since I was taken away quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of uncertainty for us when Justin was born. We were really lucky that a nurse caught his condition very early on, several hours after his birth. And really the hardest part for us was sort of not knowing about what long QT syndrome was all about, and really the uncertainty of the challenges we were going to be facing learning about his diagnosis.
It was actually caught because he lost his color in the nursery, and they thought maybe it was his blood sugar. And the nurse that happened to be working in the nursery that day was really well known for detecting heart murmurs. So they checked his heart, and she thought she heard a heart murmur. And because of that, they automatically order an EKG and a chest x-ray. And the EKG is always sent off to the well-known children's hospital in San Diego, and literally it landed in the right person's arm. And they recognized the long QT rhythm immediately and had him taken out of the hospital and taken to the highest level NICU in all of San Diego. So, the doctors came in and told us they didn't know if he was going to live.
To me, that was the most challenging part, was just not knowing what the future was going to hold for Justin.
We were so overwhelmed. We felt like they were giving us like a manual to go home with to take care of him. And we in some sense, we didn't even want him to take him home because we knew he was secure there and being watched 24 hours a day. And we had so much we had to do before we were allowed to take him home. We had to take a CPR AED class. We had to purchase an AED. We had to learn how to give him his medication 7 times a day and work out what that schedule was going to be. And we were trained on an apnea monitor because he was going to, at the time we were told, need to wear it for the first 18 months of his life. So we had to learn how this works. Just so you know, he has long QT type 2, and we figured that out through the genetic testing, and both my husband and I and our other son were tested, and none of us have it. So we know that it was a de novo, right? It's called de novo. It was spontaneously started in him. So that's why it's even more rare, because typically long QT is a genetic type of syndrome.
Yeah, so to me, the most empowering part of the whole process was really educating ourselves, and a lot of the resources like SADS that have very good resources for educating parents about what the condition is all about, and really the sort of the lifestyle that people and children especially who have this condition are living, and learning that Justin had the chance to really grow up and enjoy many of the activities that a normal child was going to be able to enjoy. To me, that was really the most empowering and most reassuring part of the whole process. But we do still worry. I wouldn't lie, when I see Justin, I still worry sometimes about him and his future.
I'd say the first 6 months were like walking on eggshells. We were very overwhelmed. He was on a medicine schedule that required him to have 2 different types of medicine, and he had it 7 times a day with a syringe, so we'd have to get him up in the middle of the night. He was attached to this monitor that often had false alarms, and when it would go off, it sounded like a house alarm. It was the scariest thing. And we always joke around because long QT type 2 is associated with being startled and loud noises, and we said, my God, if this thing next to his head doesn't startle him, I don't know what else will. But eventually we're really fortunate that Dr. Perry let us stop using that at 6 months. So I felt like he wasn't attached to wires all the time, and it was just kind of a nice feeling that he could look like a little infant like all the other infants and baby Bjorns and things like that without having wires coming out of him and things like that. But for the longest time, he had to be on this apnea monitor that would monitor his heart rate basically any second, anytime he wasn't in front of us. So almost unless we were holding him, he had to be on it.
Yeah, the medicine and the AED just became part of our lives. It just became part of the process, just like any other equipment we were bringing around for a baby, his bottle, etc.
But we didn't let it affect our everyday life. We still went to the beach. We still had our older child in activities. We just took the medicine with us in a cooler. We took the AED with us everywhere we went, and we took them on flights on the airplane. Everything that you might be a little fearful to do. Because of the HIPAA laws that are in place, you really don't know the other children in the San Diego area that have long QTs. So along with working with Dr. Perry, we decided to start a support group. I mean, I guess when we started the support group and met other families that had been living with it and had kids that had already gone through the school system, and it was so comforting and reassuring to hear from them and hear their stories and how they did it. It was really helpful for us, and I wish that we had had something like that after we found out. So when Justin turned 2, we put him in the same preschool where our older son goes. And, we were initially a little nervous because Justin's on a medication schedule where he needs propranolol 3 times a day, usually about every 8 hours. And we knew one of the doses would have to be while he's at school. So we worked with the directors of the school and the teachers and sat down and talked to them all about long QT and what he has, and made sure that there was something posted in the room so all the teachers would be aware. And they practice giving him the medicine, and so it's great that we have a routine. He's, running around on the playground and having fun like every other kid would at school.
When we see Justin and he's able to be out playing and out in the playground and riding his bike, I mean, it's the greatest thing is for us is seeing how far we've come. I mean, from that original experience of having him in the NICU and just sort of concern of whether he was just literally going to make it. Just basically seeing him at this point being able to grow up and live like a normal kid, a normal 3-year-old, to me, is still really a hugely satisfying experience.